Some things are believed by everyone, not because they're true, just because they're repeated. 9. Shove a wallet to save a life. Also, shatter a jaw. Someone collapses in the middle of a supermarket. Their mouth is foaming. Limbs twitch like a character lagging in a broken video game. No one knows what to do, but everyone agrees on one thing. Put something in their mouth. Because someone, somewhere, once said they might swallow their tongue. The room instantly turns into a pop-up emergency room. Wallets appear. Spoons materialize out of nowhere. Hands dive into the mouth like they're on a treasure hunt. The goal is simple. Stop the tongue from going down. Because the myth says, if you don't, they'll die. But no, you cannot swallow your tongue. It's anchored to the base of the mouth by the frenulum. Tougher than it looks. Trying to swallow it is like trying to eat your own knee while it's still attached. But panic speaks louder than anatomy. So people keep pushing things in. Wallets, spoons, even fingers. Because the mouth suddenly becomes the enemy. The outcome isn't a saved life. It's broken teeth, dislocated jaws, blocked airways, or death, caused by the attempted rescue. There are real cases of suffocation caused by leather wallets, not by the seizure. This myth has lasted over 200 years, passed along like outdated medical advice in a family cookbook. Old first aid books actually suggested shoving hard objects into the mouth during seizures. Apparently, no one told them teeth aren't built for blunt trauma. Today, hospitals still deal with the aftermath. Patients wake up confused and missing their front teeth. Dentists don't complain. They call it bonus season. One case involved a bystander using a metal garden spade. The result? Full upper jaw fracture. Like breakfast came with blunt force trauma instead of orange juice. That wasn't first aid. It was a DIY exorcism with landscaping tools. The correct response to a seizure? Clear the area. Cushion their head. That's it. No mouth battles. No wallet sacrifices. No hand-to-jaw combat. If someone is seizing, keep your hands out of their mouth. Call an ambulance. And if you're holding a knife, put it down. This accident doesn't need extra weapons. 8. 60 years of knuckle cracking. 0 arthritis. Plenty of annoyance. Some people hear a rumor and believe it. Some people hear a rumor and ignore it. Donald Unger chose a third option. He turned the rumor into a personal science experiment. Just to answer one strangely persistent question. Does cracking your knuckles destroy your joints? He became the subject. Every day, he cracked the knuckles on his left hand. Only the left. Like signing a one-sided deal with junk science. The right hand stayed untouched, maybe to preserve resale value. He kept this up for 60 years straight. That's 21,900 days of daily knuckle chaos, after half a century of ritual abuse. The results came in. Nothing happened. No swelling, no pain, no damage. Both hands still worked like nothing ever happened, as if science just stood there, rolling its eyes. The cracking sound isn't bones breaking. It's gas bubbles popping in your joint fluid. Basically, you're opening a tiny biological soda can. Each pop means pressure dropped. Gas escaped. Congratulations, you annoyed everyone nearby. Then you wait 20 minutes for your body to reload the chamber, like an air rifle. Except this one ruins meetings. Try again too soon, and you get silence. The only thing broken is everyone's patience. Neighbors, co-workers, romantic partners, all become hostages to your hand-based sound effects. Donald never got a thank you from rheumatologists, but he did win the 2009 Ig Nobel Prize in Medicine, a real award for research that sounds fake but somehow isn't. The real question was never, is cracking dangerous? It was, who does this for 60 years on purpose? No arthritis, just weaponized persistence. and a sound that echoed across 6 decades of living rooms. So next time someone cracks their knuckles, don't worry about arthritis, worry about them. If someone pops 21,900 times and still isn't bored, you should leave the room, or sever your auditory nerve, depending on how much you like them. 7. Stepped on a rusty nail, died because of dirt, not metal. Someone steps on a rusty nail, everyone gasps like a death timer just started. Immediately, someone repeats the ancient survival mantra. Rusty nails mean tetanus. No one asks for proof. They see rust. They assume doom. But the real killer isn't the nail. It's what lives on it. A bacterium called Clostridium tetani, not as famous as Ebola, but with similar job experience. It enters your body, then locks it up like a zip-tied power cable. This bacterium doesn't live in rust. It lives in soil, in feces, in every place the sun forgot. All it needs is a deep wound and a pocket with no oxygen. Rust is just the delivery truck, not the assassin. A clean nail dropped in your yard today is more dangerous than a rusty one in your drawer. But humans don't use logic to judge danger. They use aesthetics. When the bacteria enters, it doesn't shred you. It releases neurotoxins, the kind that lock every muscle you have. Twisted face, frozen jaw, rigid neck, then no breathing. Doctors gave it a soft name. Lockjaw. Sounds like a failed rapper from 2004. But it means dying with a smile you can't remove. During World War I, they coated shrapnel in tetanus, not to kill fast, but to let soldiers die slowly, like a funeral with no pause button. Vaccines have existed for decades, but rust still takes the blame, probably because it's easier to spot than bacteria, and more satisfying to blame than dirty shoes. If you step on a rusty nail, ask one thing. Has this nail touched dirt recently? If not, congrats. You just got rusted, not murdered. 6. Pick up the baby bird. Save it. Don't save the rumor. You see a baby bird on the ground. It's lying still, shaking. It can't fly. It can't even chirp. You look around. Then you freeze, because someone once said, if you touch it, the mother will abandon it. The reason? It will smell like a human. No one remembers who said that first. They just know everyone repeats it. And the baby bird dies. In reality, birds are terrible at smelling. They recognize their chicks by sound and sight, not scent. Unless you're talking about vultures, or anything that snacks on roadkill before noon. Most birds have a sense of smell like Wi-Fi in a concrete bunker. You could dip the chick in perfume, roll it in garlic, spray it with laundry detergent. The mother still won't care, because she can't smell it. The bird didn't fall because it was rejected. It fell because it's in flight school. Basic Flight 101. And the first exam is hit the ground and survive. If you see it, you're not the first. The mother is nearby, watching her chick struggle, and watching you stand there, doing nothing. You think you're respecting nature. You're actually watching roadkill in slow motion, then turning it into a story about moral restraint. The mistake isn't yours, it's the rumor. And the decision to believe that instead of doing something. Next time you see a baby bird on the ground, pick it up. Place it near the nest, or somewhere cars and cats can't reach. The mother will find it. And if she doesn't? Fine. Add it to your list of reasons why nature seems cruel, but it's not. The coldest part of this story is still human. 5. Sleepwalking doesn't kill, but letting it happen might. Someone is walking through the house at 2 a.m. No talking, no expression, no eye contact, just soft footsteps, opening doors, reaching for kitchen knives. You think about calling their name. Then you remember something you once heard. If you wake a sleepwalker, their heart might stop, their brain could melt, or their soul will drift into the void. That story came from the 15th century, back when anything strange was blamed on demons. Sleepwalking was proof of vampires, or curses, or demonic possession, depending on your town, and how creepy the fog was that week. In reality, sleepwalking is a non-REM sleep disorder. The brain is offline. The body is doing overtime. Waking a sleepwalker isn't dangerous, unless you enjoy getting slapped by surprise. They'll wake up, slightly panicked, slightly confused, maybe slightly violent, but they'll be awake. The danger isn't waking them, it's letting them keep going. They might open the front door, walk into the street, get in a car, drive 20 minutes, and do something that should never happen during REM sleep. Kenneth Parks, Canada, 1987. He sleepwalked into his in-laws' house, killed his mother-in-law with a kitchen knife, turned himself in, then fell asleep in the interrogation room. The court acquitted him because he had no idea what he was doing. So if you see someone wandering like a malfunctioning NPC at midnight, don't hand them a blanket. Snap them out of it. They need to wake up. Otherwise, you'll need a lawyer. Between a wake-up call and a funeral notice, choose carefully. Pick wrong, and you won't sleep either. 4. 3. Useless creatures masquerading as killers. You're looking at a creature with 8 legs. Someone told you it's a daddy longlegs. They said it's highly venomous, but the fangs are too short to bite humans. So you repeat the story like you just cracked a classified intelligence file. Here's the problem. Daddy longlegs isn't a species. It's a nickname used for 3 completely unrelated creatures. None of them are venomous. None of them are dangerous. And none of them deserve to be in a real documentary. First, the Harvest Man. Not a spider. No venom glands. No venom. No defense system whatsoever. Just 4 pairs of legs that look like missed deadlines. Basically, a marble with social anxiety. Next, the cellar spider. This one is technically a spider. It has venom. But it's weaker than expired hand sanitizer. It can stun a fly. And convince humans they just survived a brush with death in the laundry room. Finally, the crane fly. Not a spider. Not venomous. Doesn't even have a functioning mouth. It flies like it got launched from a broken leaf blower. Its greatest achievement is headbutting a window and giving itself a concussion. None of these things can bite humans, and none of them are working on it. But the myth continues. A spider with lethal venom, too incompetent to use it. A biological tragedy, written and directed by human imagination. The rumor spreads through hearsay, conspiracy blogs, and zero-budget YouTube videos. Mythbusters dedicated an entire episode to debunk it. Nobody remembers, because the truth is boring, and fear sells better than facts. 3 harmless creatures. 1 massively successful PR campaign, and a collective IQ lower than a potato. At least a potato can become fries. These things? They'll never be assassins. 3. Sharks die if they stop swimming. Except for the other 480 species, a predator with gills. An underwater machine built from cartilage and teeth. A cold-blooded icon that Hollywood loves to misrepresent. There's one line people always repeat. If a shark stops swimming, it dies. It sounds scientific, like needing oxygen to live, or paying rent to stay in your apartment. But here's the problem. Sharks aren't just one species. There are over 500 kinds, and only around 20 actually need to swim to stay alive. They're called obligate ram ventilators. They must keep water moving through their gills to breathe. If they stop swimming, they suffocate. And yes, they die. The rest of the sharks don't have that issue. They use buccal pumping, a built-in mechanism that pulls water in while they stay completely still. It's like having a personal fan installed inside your throat. These sharks can lie motionless on the ocean floor. They can rest in caves, bury themselves in sand, or nap in piles. Like seafood meal prepping for the apocalypse. So why does everyone think sharks can't stop moving? Because documentaries only film the terrifying ones. It's like watching NBA highlights and assuming every American is 7 feet tall. No one wants footage of a still shark doing nothing for 8 hours. That doesn't sell ad space. The result? Millions fear sharks. Millions of sharks die quietly. All because people think they're tireless killers. But in truth, it's often humans who make sharks stop swimming. They're pulled from the water for a nature photo, held up like a trophy from the deep. Some sharks can't breathe without movement, and they definitely can't breathe on land. They're kept out of the water just long enough for a caption, then tossed back in, already suffocating. They don't float peacefully. They sink from oxygen deprivation. If you've ever held a shark for a photo, then let it go like nothing happened. You didn't break the law. You broke its breathing system. You unplugged a biological pump and helped a marine marathoner collapse. Quietly. By your own hand. 2. Glass doesn't melt. It just looks fat. Because we were poor. You're looking at an old stained glass window. You notice the bottom is thicker than the top. You nod and decide glass must be a liquid. Slowly flowing downward, like post-vacation sadness dripping into Monday morning. It sounds logical. If you've never taken a physics class, glass isn't a liquid. It doesn't flow, it doesn't rise, it doesn't stretch. It doesn't do anything remotely entertaining. Because it's an amorphous solid. Its molecules are frozen in chaos. Like your brain at 3 a.m., fueled by hunger and regret. The reason the bottom looks thicker is embarrassingly simple. People used to make glass by spinning molten blobs into flat discs. Those discs were naturally thicker at the edges, like a pizza, minus the flavor and dignity. When they cut those discs into window panes, they installed them thicker side down. Because gravity was real. And people still cared about symmetry before Instagram ruined everything. So no, the glass didn't melt. It was just born lopsided. If glass were truly a liquid, why didn't traffic lights melt off their poles in summer? Why don't aquariums slowly ooze like expired gelatin? Why hasn't your iPhone screen slid into your pocket by now? Because glass doesn't move. It doesn't drip. It doesn't betray molecular loyalty. Only misinformation spreads like that. The myth that glass melts over time was invented to hide how bad people were at making glass in the 1600s. The truth? Glass stays exactly the same. It's people who keep changing their excuses. Those excuses get thicker, while the science gets thinner. And yes, you're still free to believe glass is a liquid, as long as you're not majoring in applied physics or designing skyscrapers. Camels don't carry water. They carry fat and betray human faith. You're dying of thirst in the desert. You see a camel and think its hump is a built-in water tank. You're wrong. It doesn't store water. It stores fat. About 80 pounds of it. A walking, spitting, fat-packed betrayal. The water hump myth came from children's books, not because it's true, but because it's easier to draw than explain biochemistry to third graders. In reality, camels break down fat when food runs out. That breakdown creates metabolic water, which means they generate hydration from their own fat reserves. Not magic. Just biology running legacy code. Each hump is a biological battery. When the fat runs out, The hump deflates, like a balloon. Or your trust after reading this sentence. The real water isn't in the hump, it's in their blood. Camel red blood cells can expand to nearly double without bursting. They're like internal airbags with anti-explosion patches. Camels don't sweat. They don't panic. And they don't care that you're hallucinating from heat stroke. They can lose 40% of their body's water and still strut like they're heading to brunch. Humans lose 10% and start dialing dead relatives. So no, the hump isn't a water tank. It's just a portable fat bank with a misleading shape. Why does everyone still think it holds water? Because no one checks. And because Hollywood doesn't animate molecular biology into family films. If you're ever planning to drink from a camel's hump, good luck with your warm, 98-degree fat smoothie. No one's stopping you. But no one's stopping you in time either. The camel didn't betray you. It never signed a contract.